And so, once again, progressives have been pushed aside and ignored. But our politicians always push aside the progressive ideas that we know we need in order to make our country stronger and more successful. But I understand why they keep pushing us aside. I mean, we really haven't given them a good reason to stand with us to make this country better. We haven't taken America hostage the way the Tea Party has done in order to get what we want. And that's our fault. But it is also the fault of the politicians because they don't believe that we have anything to negotiate with. Well, I'm here to tell you, they're wrong. We have a very big leveraging tool, and we can make a difference if we choose to do so. We can stop this conservative madness that's sweeping across the nation today. And if we don't do it now, we may never recover from its devastating effects. We can do it in a nonviolent way, and we can do it easily with the numbers that we have who are discontent with the Republican Party, and especially the Tea Party. We have been beaten up by trickle-down economics over the past 30 years. And even though we know trickle-down economics doesn't work and has been the cause of the decline of the United States, we still have it pushed down our throats by conservative Republicans every day. Well, I say it's time that we show Republicans a little bit about trickle-up economics. We have been let down by the business community in America. We know that big business has always been at odds with the American people and with the American worker. But there was a time when small businesses and the American people stood together. Unfortunately, that's no longer the case. Big business, along with the use of their conservative political mouthpieces, and especially the Tea Party element, they have convinced the small business owner that you are a burden to their conservative society. You see it being spouted by politicians in conservative states all across America. In Texas, Wisconsin, in Michigan, Ohio, Florida, Arizona, other states. You are a burden to this Republican Party. All of you educators, police officers, firefighters, EMTs, nurses, other healthcare workers, military personnel, city, county, state employees, students, retirees, veterans, each and every one of you who is not a job producer is a burden to this Republican Party and their Tea Party masters and the business owners of America. And it doesn't matter to them that everything they own has come directly from you, the citizens, and from the government of the United States of America. It doesn't matter to them that without your labor and dedication to your job, they have nothing. And it doesn't matter to them if you get killed or disabled while fighting their wars, as long as you protect their possessions and you don't ask anything of them in return. It doesn't matter that you taught them their skills or their critical thinking or how to succeed in life. To them, you were nothing more than a tool to be used and then tossed aside. With their every action, every day, they are telling you, and each and every American, you are a burden. You are a burden to this Republican Party. You are a burden to this Republican Party unless you agree to being their slave and submitting to their uncompromising idiocy. And once your usefulness as a slave is complete, you are back to being a burden and you are expendable. So you have a choice to make, America. You can retain ownership of your United States government, and you can continue to educate, protect, and care for her and her citizens. Or you can turn it over to these conservative Republican zealots who are hell-bent on destroying this country by turning it into a fascist state. So when I say that we have to show them some trickle-up economics, what I'm saying is we have been fighting this battle at the wrong level. We need to change our tactics and start our fight at the bottom and work our way to the top. We know that boycotting corporate America is useless. They're too powerful and they're so diversified, we don't know whether we're actually boycotting anybody or not. And the masses still continue to use the products and services provided by these conglomerates. And let's face it, we can boycott the big corporations for years, and all it does is make us more tired and frustrated, and we get nothing accomplished. Now, I'm a former small business owner, and it pains me to suggest this, but by boycotting small businesses, most of which are owned by Republicans and Tea Party members, and telling them we will no longer use their products and services until there is no more Tea Party influence left in Congress. And actually, this is an easy thing to do. Let's face it, we can get most any product or service we need from the major corporations. And even though it is big business that's causing the problems we're facing in America, we're going to have to use them to get to where we need to be. Granted, there will be some collateral damage, but let's face it, we're already suffering collateral damage to education, healthcare, public service, infrastructure, Social Security, human rights, equal rights, and the list just goes on and on and on. But hopefully, once they see what we can do, what influence we can have over the economic landscape of this country, then maybe a balanced government and a balanced society can come out of it. So what do? Well, the first thing we have to do is tell them what we want. That we want tax loopholes closed for corporations and for the wealthy. And we want a firm 28% tax rate applied to them and collected. We want a single-payer health care system that provides complete health and dental care for all at a reasonable cost. We want lifetime educational benefits that keep our skills updated and relevant in a world economy. And we want America's infrastructure to be the best in the world, not third rate, as the Tea Party seems to want for us. We want clean air and clean water and an environment that is not continually being raped and destroyed by big business. And we want equal rights for all American citizens. And then we tell them what we're prepared to do. We tell them that any district that votes a Tea Party candidate into office in 2012 will have every small business in their district permanently boycotted, or at the very least have a massive slowdown directed towards them. So what does this do? Well, even a 10% slowdown for a short period of time for a small business can be devastating. It puts their business in jeopardy of going broke and having to lay off workers. Now, how many of their workers do you think will continue to vote for Tea Party candidates if they think their job is at stake? And of course, it also affects the bottom line for the business owner, and they don't like that at all. Now, we know big business can suffer a long boycott, but most small businesses can't last more than a few months, and a lot of them can't even last a month. So let them know that we are planning and we will be ready to be heard. The boycott will begin on October 29th, 2012, 8 days before the election. Why October 29th? That's a famous date in history. It was the date the market crashed in 1929. And I say it is time for another crash. The crash of the Tea Party. So tell them that any district that votes a Tea Party candidate into office in 2012 will see a run on their local banks the very next day. Progressives will walk in and pull their money out of the locally owned banks and deposit it with the big banks. This will jeopardize funding to local businesses and cause job layoffs and possible closures and a huge economic impact on the district. And tell them any district that votes in a Tea Party candidate in 2012 will have their local real estate, mortgage, and insurance brokers boycotted in favor of outside businesses. And this is a very easy thing to do. And there are many other little things that can cause economic hardships to small businesses in the districts that have Tea Party influence in Congress. And these things can be done by a relatively small percentage of the population and have a huge impact. And if this idea starts gathering support, I will be posting those ideas and things on this page. So this is where we need to start. We need to start at the bottom of the business food chain and work our way to the top. instead of starting off by trying to bite the head off the mad elephant that's attacking us. Now, do I like doing this? Absolutely not. As I said, I was a small business owner, and it pains me to suggest this, but they started this war against the American people. And in a war, sometimes you have to do things you don't like doing. So I can drive an extra mile, and I can go get my gas at Sam's Club, rather than driving around the corner to the convenience store that I know is owned by Tea Party members. And I can grill my own burgers in the backyard rather than running down to my favorite burger joint that is also run by Tea Party members who pay their workers minimum wage. And I can go down and I can pull my money out of my local bank and put it in one of the giant corporate banks and have just as easy access and convenience as I do now. And realistically, it's going to come down to that in the future anyway if we don't take a stand now. We have just seen less than 15% of America hold this country hostage. The Tea Party is a cancer on this nation, and sometimes you have to sacrifice a few good cells in order to rid yourself of cancer, or it ends up spreading throughout your entire body and it kills you. And I'm not ready to see America die. Are you? Now, our numbers are much greater than 15%, but even if we only get 10% participation, we will be heard, and we will no longer be pushed aside and ignored. Drastic times call for drastic measures, and unfortunately, these are drastic times. So what I'm asking you to do, if you agree with me that the time has come that we can no longer ignore what's happening to America, and that we have to make a stand against this un-American, radical, and cancerous Tea Party, then I'm asking you to start recruiting people to this idea. Get 10 people to like this page and ask them to get 10 people. Because if I can get 1,000 likes to this page by August 15th to show me that there is a desire to stand up for America and what she represents, then I will form a nonprofit organization to promote this idea on a national scale. This may be our last opportunity to make a stand for America. So if they consider us a burden, let's show them just how big of a burden we can be. Say no to Republicans and say no to the Tea Party now. And say no to them in the elections to come. Tell the Tea Party and the rest of the Republican Party that October 29th, 2012 should be a day for them to fear. Because it is the day when we, the progressives of America, are going to rise up and we're going to take our country back.